Before this video starts, let's just get this out of the way.
Hey.
Oh my god. You guys can't see it, but I'm using Audacity to record my mic audio, and I have never seen a peak that big. Holy oh my god. I had to do it for the one time, and I also had to obtain permission from my family to do that, so Kendrick Lamar has definitely had quite an amazing year. In 2024, Kendrick was coming off of his critically acclaimed yet somewhat divisive fifth studio album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers. Positively received by fans, but given mixed reception from fans, believing that it was like lower than Damn, his previous project. And also ending the incredible Big Steppers tour that I got to attend. I'm sure you're seething with jealousy right now. Oh god, my throat still hurts. Pause. And of course, would start this year off dropping one of the most memorable verses on featured Metro Boomin's Like That. This verse helped escalate what was a kind of like sideline Cold War beef between Drake and Kendrick into one of the most highly publicized feuds in all of pop culture. Now, I assume that you are entering his video with a decent amount of knowledge of what has transpired over this past year between the two, because this video will not really be talking about how the beef started and whatnot and breaking down the diss tracks. I am very late to that party. But for the Spark Notes version, you can watch the first 12 minutes of my Taylor Swift video, or for a lot more detail, you can watch FD Signifier's I'm With the Culture Feeling. It is a really good video, but watch me first. I'm more important than him. But for this video, I will just give a very quick recap of events, just so that we're up to speed. So in short, even worse Spark Notes. On March 22nd, 2024, the first We Don't Trust You album drops. And coincidentally, so did my Codeine Crazy video. Kendrick would take shots at Drake and J. Cole, as Cole called them the Big Three on Drake's first-person shooter from For All the Dogs. As on Like That, Kendrick makes it clear that he believes that he is above the both of them. This, of course, prompted J. Cole's response, the now-deleted 7-minute drill. It saw that he would go on to denounce less than a week after release and remove it off of streaming platforms, kind of backing himself out of the beef. And Drake, after the release of We Still Don't Trust You, would drop his first response, Push-Ups. And after a couple days with no response from Kendrick, Drake would drop the infamous Tailor-Made freestyle, trying to bait Kendrick into a response, taking a page out of one of his inspiration's books with taking AI to ruin what could have already been a decent song. Kanye's influence is truly unmatched. A couple days later, Kendrick would drop his first of 4 tracks in response to Drake, with the first, Euphoria, then followed up by 616 in LA, his own way of baiting Drake into a response, and Drake took that bait, dropping his major response, Family Matters, with Kendrick just minutes later responding with Meet the Grams. After Meet the Grams, Kendrick would drop his Victory Lap track and one of the biggest songs of the year, Not Like Us, sitting at over 975 million streams on Spotify as of recording this very video. Then, ending this epic battle with Drake attempting to respond to Not Like Us and Meet the Grams with The Heart Part 6. But we don't really need to talk about that song. Such a neckbeard ending to that track too. Really good practice. What seemed to be Kendrick's driving force behind attacking Drake was that he felt that Drake made a mockery of rap and black culture and got to reap its benefits without any real respect toward the genre. All the while, nobody of Drake's level had the balls to check him. Kendrick feels like Drake is the embodiment of everything wrong with modern day hip hop. And also calling Drake out for being an abuser apologist, a little bit ironic, willingly associating with people who are known to be scummy, like Drake's former security guard turned rapper, Baka Not Nice, who is a convicted predator, as in convicted, not just allegations, and Drake happily putting him on despite knowing what he's done. And also sharing that Drake himself might be secretly a predator who has abused women, and also might be hiding another child. But with Drake, on the other hand, he had grown more bitter with Kendrick over the past decade as their previous friendship would fall apart after the famous Control verse, with Drake taking those lines very personally, attempting to rub his commercial success in Kendrick's face, and then also sharing unsubstantiated rumors of Kendrick putting hands on his partner. This beef ended with the obvious consensus that Kendrick won, with his phenomenal diss tracks and the Juneteenth pop-out show, where some of California's biggest celebrities, artists, Crips and Bloods, even, all held hands and sang Kumbaya over Drake's metaphorical grave. Given how high profile this beef was, having two of the biggest musicians on the planet go after each other, it's evident that Dot has been on a crazy run this year, having one of the biggest hits of the year, and now even performing at 2025's Super Bowl halftime show. All eyes have been on him, you could say. Thank you. I'm here all night. With there even being speculation of Kendrick dropping an album this year back when those disses first dropped. He would tease a snippet of a never before heard song at the beginning of the Not Like Us music video. A lot of fans are hoping this wasn't going to be another Dead Homie situation where he teased a song at the beginning of a music video and then never dropped it. And then a month after the Not Like Us music video, Kendrick's cousin, in a now deleted tweet, shared a text conversation between him and Kendrick, sharing that there was indeed a project on the way. Now, some were a bit skeptical, and me being a fan of artists like Ye and Playboi Carti have made me very skeptical of trusting music artists. I still held out hope, and so did many fans. And all of that speculation would be proven correct when he dropped a teaser on social media for this new project just 30 minutes before its release. And of course, he would then surprise release his 6th studio album, GNX, on November 22nd, 2024. At 10 a.m. ET. This being Kendrick's first ever surprise album drop, making fans very excited for what he had to say. The release of this album has spawned so much conversation over the last month for a multitude of reasons, and maybe even helped publicize an incredibly idiotic lawsuit that we will come back to in a second. But before any of that, I just want to talk about the album itself, as there is quite a lot to talk about. This video is probably the most laid back one I've made the entire year, because given the fact that I spent half of this year just working on my own personal video essay project, I missed being able to talk about the entire beef. So I'm kind of just gonna riff a bit, if you guys don't mind. I really just want to share my opinions on the album and some of its surrounding stories. GNX is Kendrick's most unique and somewhat laid-back album to date. It feels more like a celebration album, having Kendrick finally lavishing in his own success after a career spanning over 15 years, and paying homage to the roots that got him to where he is today. Over this album, Kendrick reflects on his career journey and the experiences that have influenced his art and personal life, while also using this experience to justify his growing distaste for the modern-day music industry. The album's title, GNX, is the abbreviation for a special 1987 Buick Grand National, experimental. This car nowadays is considered a vintage luxury car, going anywhere from $130,000 to $300,000 today, not even counting potential upgrades, according to Classic.com. Kendrick poses next to said GNX on the cover. To me, this title symbolizes how far Kendrick has come, as in an Instagram post posted to his spam in June of 2024, he would show us a picture of his new GNX, accompanied by an old picture of him and his late cousin Pat Dog playing with a toy version of the car back in the 90s. The album starts with the intro track, Whacked Out Murals. This song begins with an intro from Mexican singer Dara Barrera. And the intro in English roughly translates to, I feel your presence here, the night of last night, and we begin to cry. She shows up 2 more times on the album, seemingly hinting at some kind of connected story throughout the project. On this track, Kendrick reaffirms one of his big messages during the beef, that he will remain authentic to himself and his truth no matter what. Kendrick had a mural put up of him outside of Mi Sabors, a Honduran restaurant in Compton, Kendrick's hometown, back in July. In September, vandals defaced the mural, crossing out his eyes and tagging it with symbols associated with a rival Compton gang. Having a whacked out mural is very symbolic of having people who want to disrespect your art, and Kendrick lets us know in this track that it didn't faze him. More notable lines came when Kendrick addressed Snoop Dogg, who had posted about the release of Taylor Made Freestyle on Insta in a way that felt disrespectful to Kendrick. Snoop has been one of K-Dot's biggest inspirations, and as a West Coast legend himself, even passed down the metaphorical torch to him back in August of 2011, following the release of Section 80. In this incredibly wholesome and tear-jerking moment, caught at a Los Angeles show. Having Snoop be indifferent to Taylor Made Kendrick feel some type of way. And Snoop would even respond to the line on Twitter in a lighthearted apology, reaffirming that he was always going to be down with Kendrick. The other most notable line was Kendrick mentioning the small controversy around him doing 2025's upcoming Super Bowl halftime show. Now, this season's Super Bowl is set in New Orleans, Louisiana, the hometown of rapper Lil Wayne, with many rap fans and Wayne himself expressing disappointment in not being chosen to perform on one of the world's most televised events in his own hometown. Kendrick believes that he has let Wayne down after taking that chance from him. And also potentially because Kendrick did have a very big beef with someone that Wayne helped put on. Kendrick has always had an appreciation for Wayne and his music, which is apparent in a lot of some of his older music pre-Section 80, like this.
Sitting in the hoopty, looking for a groupie. Bitch, I'm K-Dot. Act like you knew me. Got me fucked up.
And this amazing cover of Mrs. Officer from the Carter 3.
K-Dot Valentino. When I get up out in ya, tell your girlfriend I beat it.
Wayne initially responded on Twitter trying to remove himself from the situation, seeming that it felt like Kendrick was trying to manipulate him into his feud. But since then, as Wayne would reveal on an episode of the Skip Bayless show, he and Kendrick talked it over the phone, and Wayne wishes him nothing but the best. This album intro is perfectly fitting. Given the year Kendrick has had, there couldn't be a more perfect statement to start off this project. Following Whacked Up Murals, we get the album's teaser song, Squabble Up. This track was initially teased in the Not Like Us music video, and this song perfectly captures the album's sound as, again, Kendrick really tapped into his West Coast roots with this album, with this song having very clear G-Funk inspiration. The music video for this song, directed by Calmatic, also takes heavy inspiration from the Roots' music video for the 2005 song, The Next Movement. Over this very energetic party anthem, Kendrick once more boasts his never-ending allegiance to himself and his truth, telling anyone who wants to oppose him to squabble up, seemingly using this track to throw a bit more Drake subliminals, recounting how he won their beef. An all-around banger with co-production from Jack Antonoff, the guy from Fun, Taylor Swift's producer. Yeah, that's another fun fact about this project. Jack has co-production on almost every song on this album, excluding one, and first worked with Kendrick producing 616 in LA earlier this year. This has left many Swifties, including my homegirl, shout out Bryn, wondering why Jack Antonoff reserves his better production for Kendrick and not for some of Taylor's more recent projects. I'm sure even Taylor is feeling some type of way about that, I'm not gonna lie. Following Squabble Up is one of the project's most popular songs, Luther with SZA. This song features a prominent sample of the song If This World Were Mine by Cheryl Lynn and iconic soul singer Luther Vandross, hence the title. It is a peaceful song where the two sing about wanting to help the world find peace, with Kendrick's partner by his side. SZA and Kendrick have never missed together on a song, and that streak continues with this track. It's a vibe. Following Luther is a personal favorite that I believe has become incredibly overlooked, Men at the Garden, with uncredited background vocals from singer-songwriter Sam Dew, who was previously featured extensively on Kendrick's last project. On this heavily introspective track, Kendrick talks about the trials and tribulations he faced to gain his success, reaffirming after every bar that he deserves it all. It reads as a mantra of some sort, with Kendrick seeming to remind himself that he deserved everything he worked for. This song is heat, man. I really don't understand why it feels like no one is talking about it. It's so good. After Men at the Garden, we get the track Hey Now with up-and-coming LA rapper Dodie Six. Kendrick gives the West Coast a lot of love on this project, with other up-and-coming artists being featured on the album. Like a lot of songs on this album, the track's main message is about how Kendrick and Dodie have stayed focused on their respective visions while navigating the modern-day music industry. Dodie has been getting a lot of praise for his feature, and I see why. He brings a lot of amazing energy to this track, and ends it with a pretty satisfying outro. This song was just recently covered by Tyler the Creator, releasing a freestyle over the beat to social media on Christmas, repping his own hood in California. Speaking of which, you guys should go watch my Tyler videos, please. I worked really hard on them. Thank you. The next song on the track list would be Reincarnated. On this song, following our second intro from Dara, which this one in English translates to, Where Does Your Gaze Reflect? The Night, You and Me, over the beat of Made Niggas by Tupac, Kendrick talks about two artists who he saw similarities with in his own life, saying in this song that he is a reincarnation of them, while also making reference to the world famous and critically acclaimed video essay series No One Wants to Fall to Heaven. Thank you, Kendrick. The first verse is most likely telling the story of blues singer John Lee Hooker, who rose to prominence in the 50s, releasing his music under many pseudonyms to avoid labels profiting off of his art. He died a rich man, but in Kendrick's eyes, Hooker used his talents in pursuit of money and never used his influence to help others. In the second verse, the person brought up is most likely iconic jazz singer Billie Holiday. Billie also achieved major success, even nowadays being credited as an influence on both jazz and pop music today. But Kendrick mentions that her darker side was her issues with substance abuse that would unfortunately lead to her untimely death, overdosing at the age of 44. In the third verse, after living those previous lives, we are now on Kendrick's present life as Kendrick Lamar Duckworth, with him using his verse to speak to God, attempting to prove to him that he's learned from the mistakes of his predecessors and has become a better version of them, with Kendrick getting out of any self-destructive paths and using his money and influence to help those around him and help foster peace, with him mentioning the pop-out as an example, only for God to tell him that he profit and gains off of dysfunction or war, which could be in reference to, again, his very big beef with another artist, or the fact that he made a lot of his money talking about his rough experiences in the streets as a kid. This discussion of hypocrisy has been a major talking point in K-Dot's discography, even dating back to 2015's To Pimp a Butterfly on the Black River Berry. Kendrick ends the track promising to God that he will use his powers for good and truly attempt to foster peace. This song has also been getting a lot of praise, and I see why. Watching musicians take a deep, critical look into their character is almost a guaranteed banger. It really does feel like after Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers and that album's major focus on Kendrick learning more about himself and being more open, it seems that he's become more open of sharing his flaws with the world. Following Reincarnated, though, is another one of the album's most popular songs, featuring the famous Mustard Scream TV Off with another up-and-coming LA artist, Lefty Gunplay, who has also worked with previous feature Dodie Six before. This song has been considered an unofficial sequel to Not Like Us for very obvious reasons. On this track, Kendrick once more reaffirms the importance of rejecting the status quo and staying focused on his purpose, an obvious shot at Drake and the music industry. As I can say this as a fan of both Dot and Drake, Drake's music in recent memory has been him chasing trends and not making projects that it seems like he really cared about. It also pushes the importance of hip-hop culture and that it shouldn't be commodified so that certain people can profit off of the culture with no respect towards it. With the chorus and title potentially being a reference to Jill Scott Heron's The Revolution Will Not Be Televised. I mentioned Gil in the FML video, which you should also watch that one too if you haven't yet. But to jog your memory, he was a pro-black spoken word poet and musician. And on this song, released in 1971, Gil sends a reminder to Black Americans and oppressed persons in general that freedom won't come from complacency and that shit needs to get shaken up. This song's message, and Jill overall, has been referenced in rap so many times it's not even funny. He's an icon for a reason. This song, once more, is just another straight banger, and outside of the memes that it has spawned, and Jacksepticeye now having one of the greatest string of tweets in history, it deserves all of its success. Fun fact though, people have actually speculated that the Mustard Scream is actually Kendrick paying homage to one of the viral memes from the summer, where TikTok user Trayvon the Titan reads off a viral Kendrick-related tweet doing a Kratos impression. If true, all the more reason to love this man. Following TV Off, we get another chill song with Dodger Blue, featuring Roddy Ricch and other LA up-and-comers 776 and Wally the Sensei. This track is an ode to LA, with Kendrick discussing how important it is to him that outsiders respect the city and its culture. The title is most likely a reference to the LA Dodgers baseball team that just won the World Series this past year. Following Dodger Blue, we get the incredibly energetic Peekaboo with LA-based rapper AZ Chike. This is the one and only song that does not feature any co-production from Mr. Jack Me Off. On this song, Kendrick seems to take more shots at the modern day music industry, implying that some up-and-comers aren't really talking about anything of note in their music. The chorus of this song interpolates the chorus from the track Nuttin' by Christian rapper Lecrae. Kendrick previously shouted him out on a titleless track, fan-titled The Day the Party Died, released randomly on 9/11 this year, with him discussing similar subject matter to what is on this album, with Lecrae responding on Twitter showing love for Kendrick and even rapping on this very same beat 3 days later. I love this song, man. The energy, the production, it sounds like a soundtrack from a horror movie, but repurposed. I don't know, man. It's just, I love it. It's good. Winding down the album though, we get Heart Part 6. With more uncredited vocals from Sam Dew, and the song's instrumental and repeated chorus sampling the song Use Your Heart by R&B group SWV, or Sisters with Voices. originally produced and written by the Neptunes. Heart Part 6 is the 6th installment of Kendrick's song series, The Heart. These songs normally come out before or during an album cycle, where Kendrick seems to reflect on recent events in his career or just general happenings in the culture. Given the fact that Drake mockingly took that title during his battle with Kendrick, he most likely removed the from the title in order to avoid confusion between the two. In Part 6, he reflects on his come-up story of getting signed to Top Dog Entertainment, his former label, and how he drifted apart from TDE members Schoolboy Q, Ab-Soul, and J-Rock. The four previously assembled to make a rap group called Black Hippie, which officially disbanded after Kendrick left TDE in 2022 after they had been inactive for over 6 years. Kendrick most likely started reflecting on this after the pop-out, where the four reunited on stage and performed some of their biggest hits together. Kendrick ends the song reminding listeners to go out and try to patch things up with loved ones. It is a chill song with a nice message. Following Heart Part 6, we get our penultimate song and the title track, GNX, with more LA up-and-comers, Hida J3, Young Threat, and Peso. Kendrick essentially just lets the three rap about their dominance in rap and in the streets, celebrating how far they have come from the trenches of LA. In my eyes, I'm not gonna lie, it's the weakest from the project. I feel like the beat holds it back. I feel like these verses over a more vibrant and just like energetic instrumental would have hit harder, but that's just me. But then we get to the album's outro track, Gloria, featuring SZA once again. Following one last outro from Dayra Barrera that roughly translates to Seated, Anita and You, Kendrick discusses a tumultuous relationship that he's had since his teens. On first listen, you would think that this is just an ode to his partner and mother of his children, and the mother of his children, Whitney Alford. But when looking at it a bit deeper, you realize that this story is an extended metaphor about Kendrick's love for his music, or his pen. Kendrick raps about how songwriting helped him through dark times, and also even touches on having writer's block after the release of Damn, with Kendrick's next solo album coming half a decade later. This is better explained in this Reddit post from user 1translator8676, and I will leave it in the description. This outro is very fitting when putting the album's progression into perspective. Everything that Kendrick learns and celebrates on this album is all thanks to his pen. Even some of the relationships talked about earlier on the album, like on Luther, weren't with a romantic partner. On that song, he was talking about hoping to foster peace with his music. Those intros from Dayra seem to be his pen talking to Kendrick at certain points of the album, coming at the beginning, middle, and the end, closing GNX in a very prideful manner. This album is one that Kendrick deserved to make. Again, after a career spanning over 15 years, winning what will go down as one of the best rap beefs in history, and being hailed as a legend of your time, the man finally gets a moment to brag a little bit. And of course, GNX wasn't made purely for vanity, but still, it is really refreshing to see Kendrick be able to celebrate his success while also reflecting on some of the mistakes that he made along the way. Even though the man didn't make an entire album just to shit on Drake, it's clear that one of the main messages from the beef stayed true. Kendrick uses this album to tell us how much music means to him, and that he takes clear personal offense to people like Drake who commodify it with little to no respect for the culture. I really feel like after the pop-out show, Kendrick realized what he had accomplished. He unified Bloods and Crips for one night, and he's given LA a more elevated platform, and it feels like he wanted to show love to his origins on his project by featuring exclusively West Coast acts, excluding SZA, and with this album's overall sounds paying homage to his city sound. I won't lie, some moments are a bit boring, and it seems to drag towards the end a bit, but still, this is another solid project from Kendrick, and I will be definitely trying to see Kendrick and SZA on tour. The album gets an 8.2 out of 10 for me. Another Kendrick classic. The album has only been out for a month, but has already sparked much conversation. The different sound, the tour with a date set in Toronto, he's bold as hell for that, the speculation of a sequel album or deluxe, and the most notable, that isn't directly tied to GNX but still came out around the same time, the lawsuit Drake filed against Spotify and UMG over the success of Not Like Us. Yeah, another legendary Will Drake rant, here we go. Yeah, Drizzy Drake is going out even sadder here. For the sake of clarity, Drake isn't suing Spotify and UMG. Still, he and his legal team filed petitions against Spotify and UMG, the label that both Drake and Kendrick are signed to, alleging that the platforms artificially inflated the popularity and success of Not Like Us with bots. Drake and his legal team also believe that UMG allegedly paid a lot of influencers to promote the song. And even after the claims of artificial success, he is also filing legal action against UMG for them clearing the release of Not Like Us, under the grounds of defamation. Obviously saying that the song falsely accused him of. What seemed to lead Drake and some of his meat riders to this conclusion was that Universal wants to get out of paying Drake. You see, after the release of 2021's Certified Lover Boy, Drake signed a deal with UMG for an unspecified amount, ranging from a speculated $300 to $500 million. All of that money was meant to encompass Drake's future music releases, publishing, merchandise, and other various sources of revenue. While the terms of his deal and why it came about are not public information, Drake is obviously a huge moneymaker for UMG. Even though the album that released just before this deal, in the opinion of many, myself included, was one of his weakest, the project still did very well commercially and even snagged a Grammy nomination before Drake himself stepped out of the race. The obvious hope with a deal of that size would be with Drake's major star power and constant success, that the label would be able to earn back the $300 to $500 million in album sales and other revenue sources. But now, having Drake being publicly bashed with his rival song doing better than any music he has put out this past year in terms of streams, UMG might have a reason to lower the amount paid to Drake, being like, I mean, we hired you when you were popping, but like now you're in your flop era. Now you're in your flop era, bestie. You know, sister slave. Rat summer. This, of course, kind of screwing Drake over. But here's the thing. Let's keep it 100. This is horseshit. This further proves how much Drake just truly does not understand, no pun intended, what the culture is feeling. Does he not realize that he was in one of the most highly publicized celebrity disputes of the 21st century? Dude, this shit made international news. My aunt and uncle, who live in Europe and have never heard a Drake or Kendrick song a day in their lives, heard this on the radio. My father, who detests rap music, Still love you, Dad, saw this on the news. Is it that far-fetched to believe that the song just did well organically? Lady Gaga and Bruno Mars are both signed to UMG and released Die With A Smile in October of this year. And even though it's been out for a shorter amount of time than Not Like Us, which has almost 500 million more streams than it. Are they conspiring against you too, Drake? And also, Drake is one to talk about forced promotion. I'm just gonna let this Sean C clip play here, man. He explains it a lot better than he explains everything I want to say.
Gotta unbuckle a nigga pants if he's wearing a belt, if he wearing some jeans, if he wearing khakis. Anything outside of joggers, you gotta go through extra work to get that butt out. Release his belt. Pull the jeans down.
Spotify users push back at the over-the-top Drake promotion. This was over 6 years ago. This is 6 fucking years ago. Niggas were complaining about Drake invading their personal space on their music platform that they pay for, a subscription service. Some Spotify users were so annoyed by the recent Drake promo that they asked for and were granted refunds for their subscription. The streaming service had heavily promoted the artist's latest album, Scorpion, even using his image on playlists that didn't even contain his fucking music, like massive dance hits, best of British, happy pop hits, for example. The promotion dubbed Scorpion Season was first ever global artist takeover on Spotify service and the first time an artist took over multiple Spotify playlists on the same day. While it's not uncommon for artists to receive promotion on Spotify, some felt that Drake's promotion had gone too far, to the point where obviously it was invasive. Drake getting best of fucking British? What are we talking about? One Reddit user shared how they were able to obtain a refund from customer service, and that post soon went viral. A screenshot of their chat with the support rep has to date been viewed over 12,000 times. That transcript doesn't indicate any official policy on Spotify's part here, but was instead the efforts of a customer service rep helping retain an individual's business.
You hear that shit? You hear that shit? Listen, I've made my opinions on Scorpion very clear on this channel. I'm not going to get into a rant again, but Drake's trash-ass album was being promoted in genres he wasn't even a part of. But Drake means to tell us that the success of Not Like Us was too much. Yeah, fucking right. This entire thing is making Drake go out so astronomically sad. This is the hip hop equivalent of tattletaling, bro. You 36. Also, does Drake not realize that, like, Kendrick could do the exact same thing to him? He knows that, right? You said on Family Matters that Kendrick beats on his baby mama. That's a very damning allegation. And if the inverse happened, I know Drake's corny ass would be somewhere rapping about it in a smug way too. Spotify and UMG both came out with statements, of course, denying Drake's claims, just adding insult to injury. Yo, and another thing, this isn't even in the script. Why, of all people, during this entire thing, after GNX come out, he goes on XQC's stream, of all people, I guess that's stake money, really, you really gotta stop gambling, and talks about Steve Lacy is a fragile op. Steve Lacy? The bisexual singing guy? What did he do? Oh my god, oh my god, you're a grown-ass man. I haven't been this embarrassed to be a Drake fan since when he leaked the original version of Life of the Party and everyone called it the best song that he had released that year. Fuck, man. And as time moves on, it shows us more and more why Drake lost the beef. It seems like he really just doesn't get it. He seems to be so blinded by the EDP allegations and his clear bitterness towards the end of him and Kendrick's acquaintanceship or friendship that he doesn't see the main reason why Kendrick went at him. There are so many things Drake could have even shot back at Kendrick, like how he is kind of like Hotep adjacent, but as pointed out by another hip-hop commentator I used to be paid, Drake probably doesn't even know what that is. He's so out of touch. And it really does seem like Drake just does not have any respect for the genre and art form that changed his life. With him posting a picture of him in a Rap Is a Joke t-shirt 2 months after he had lost the beef. Rage baiting at the big old age of 38. You have a kid, man. Look, I'm no lawyer, obviously, but like, I don't imagine anything really coming of those lawsuits in the legal sense. But what I can hope for the future is that Drake realizes that he needs to get off his ass and start really putting his effort into his music. This alleged Party Next Door collab album that has seemed to be pushed back sounds mad promising, and even some of the singles from the 100 Gigs drop were pretty decent. But in order for Drake to gain any kind of W following this situation, his next project needs to be a Take Care 2. I don't see any other way out of this. I was gonna say, I don't want to turn this video into another Drake rant, but I have had to suppress all of my feelings about him over the first 6 months of the year because I was busy with other stuff. But for now, I'll leave it alone. I have more Drake videos you can watch if you want to hear me yell about this light-skinned man for more time. But sooner or later, this man needs to lock in before he loses more and more respect from not just the rap community, but the music industry at large. And before Drake effectively screws himself over. Moving past that though, GNX feels like a sign of very good things to come for Kendrick. I've already talked about how I like the album, but its release and rollout has shown us what Kendrick is capable of. This is his first album outside of TDE, now under his own company, PG Lang. Still licensed to Interscope under UMG, but still. The Squabble Up music video is proof of this. It's very clear that this man is just like, he's worked hard enough to where he has so much creative freedom and can truly just do whatever the fuck he wants to. I feel like, no bullshit, I said this in the Taylor Swift video, but I mean this sincerely. Not to get into another Drake side tangent here, I'm very thankful for this beef because it forced Drake to at least try rapping like really passionately again. And two, this whole thing seems to have started a rebirth for Kendrick. He really does have a clear goal of promoting more unity and putting on the West Side. Plus, another interesting part of this era is the speculation of a deluxe. One of the collaborators, Lefty Gunplay, featured on TV Off, stated in an interview with the Bootleg Kev podcast that Kendrick has a video for TV Off in the works and had a deluxe coming, also revealing the NDA that he had to sign in order to work with Kendrick. Said NDA he's probably violating in this interview, a lot so. And I mean, this speculation makes sense. I mean, like, the song in GNX's teaser trailer was nowhere on the album. This could be K-Dot potentially teasing more to come with either a deluxe or a companion album. I wouldn't have that much hope for a companion album, as the last time people had that thought, we were burned very hard. Remember Damnation, guys? Remember how that was supposed to happen? I mean, even this month on December 17th, on Kendrick's official YouTube channel, the song Money Without Me was uploaded but then swiftly taken down by UMG, giving more hype towards the deluxe, even though that song was just a Section 80 throwaway. All in all, though, I think GNX is a perfect end to one of the most prolific years in not just Kendrick's career, but music in general. And I really can't wait to see what else comes from this era. But that's gonna wrap it here for me. I'm really bad at video outros, but this video will most likely be coming out on either the 30th or the 31st. This will be my last video of the year, and I want to thank you all for quite the amazing year I've had. I said this in the last Tyler video, but I really do need to reiterate how much No One Wants to Fall to Heaven means to me. So if you're new here, if you've never seen those videos, it was a video series I did discussing my own personal struggles with mental health, heartbreak, and suicidal ideation, and how music helped me through those struggles and the lessons that I have learned and that I wanted to also share with other people. It was a passion project. It's something that I started working on in winter of 2022, but so much in my life had changed within 2023 that I just kept pushing it back further and further and further and further until finally realizing that I needed to lock in. My original plan was to film a lot of the short film aspects with a team of people, but that just never worked out. And sitting here now, seeing the success that series has had has just been, it's been so gratifying to see. So many comments, even private DMs that I'm not going to share here, but of people saying that these videos resonated with them, it's helped them. I had 2 comments that I'm remembering off the top of my head of people saying that these videos helped me look back on my own life and how I can improve it. And I'm so incredibly grateful and humbled that, something that I did, it's something that I didn't have a lot of I had confidence in what I was doing, but I wasn't sure what would come of what I did. In total, that series has less than 100,000 views. Even I did not expect such a wide reach and to have touched the lives of anybody really. And I'm just so thankful that I was able to do that. And even past the series, just the success on this channel has been just so monumental. Again, I started this year off with 400 something subscribers, and then starting to teeter back into 300s. And right now, as of recording this exact video, I can check. Hold up. I am 6 subscribers away from hitting 3,000, and I might even hit by the time this video comes out. But I just wanted to thank you all for an amazing year. All of the undying and positive feedback and support I've gotten. Yeah, it's been awesome. 2025, again, I said this at the end of the last Tyler video, but I have another project in the vein of No One Wants to Fall to Heaven coming. So, stay tuned for that one. I think it's gonna be pretty good. And just in general, I am going to try and find a proper schedule. I tried doing 2 videos a month after the Taylor Swift video did not work out, and with my schooling getting more and more intense next year, I imagine things are going to be harder, but we're going to figure it out. Again, thank you all so much for your support this year. I hope you've enjoyed what I've put out this year, because this is something I'm really passionate about, and I'm glad people are enjoying what I make. I hope you've had a happy holiday season, and I can't wait to see you guys in the new year. Thanks again, and I'll catch you in the next one. Yes! Life is good. Yeah, life is good. Okay, Google, play Kiss of Life by Sade.
Got it. Kiss of Life by Sade. Here it is on Spotify.
Bye.